slot or PCI.
Right. Yeah. And so you kind of mentioned something else that I wanted to get into, which is audio,
Oh
because I hate
no.
audio. So there's a couple options for audio. Now we have like plenty of software resources that we've mentioned in the past. Hardware is like a mystery to me because I've just avoided it. What are the basics of like getting into higher level investments into, some audio equipment?
So audio is I don't know if there's any streamer that likes audio setup.
So right.
It's
maybe. Maybe.
Maybe.
Gadgets are fun. Audio is interesting. It's harder to debug. There's no clicking a button and saying what are the logs, right? Can you send me your OBS logs, or type this command into Windows? Rather it's hey, let's connect a bunch of devices and hope they work. Um, uh, so there's I think the most common question would be, should I get a mixer? Should I get a hardware mixer? And probably the recommendation would be start with the software. Try the Voice Meter Banana, which is cheap. It's a cheap piece of software. It's a I guess a program based audio mixer, which allows you to feed in different audio signals and using your mouse adjust things. You could buy like a little USB device off Amazon for like $5 to control it, buy a little hardware piece. But that also has its own issues, um, such as having to potentially alt tab out of your game and adjust things and
It's
whatnot.
taking up CPU time for sure.
And it's taking up CPU time, absolutely. I personally went with a hardware mixer right off the bat, mostly because I like the concept of having tactile um, volume control and adjusting the channels. It is daunting at first. With a single PC setup, it's not too bad because you're plugging in your mic into the thing. You're more than likely, if you're getting even like a low end mixer, you're probably connecting it via USB to your PC. If not USB, you're probably connecting it via just a normal audio cable, and getting access to things. With a two PC setup, it becomes 100% a necessity as far as I'm concerned. But it also means more audio channels that you have to deal with and routing them one way or another. There is some knowledge gathering, and I don't think any streamer, will, unless they're maybe a audio tech as a side job. They're probably going to have to learn it along the way, but it's knowledge that is worth picking up and experimenting with.
And it'll last you. Like, when is that not going to be useful as you progress
Agreed.
in the industry?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And even if you don't want it anymore, you could potentially sell that piece of hardware and get it back.
For the hardware itself, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Mm.
What I find interesting though is like anytime anybody wants to go for the hardware, people look at what other people use, and it's the mixer, and then anything else, it's peak limiter, the compression, anything else that goes on top of that to actually affect how you sound.
Yep.
All of those stack up, but oddly enough, there's actually a solution to do all of that in a single box, which is what I use. And it's nice and fancy because I can control it from my tablet. Like literally just do
fun things like that.
What?
Yeah, it is
That's
a single
pretty
box.
cool.
It's Behringer's air mixers. You have no physical knobs. You have nothing physical except for wire inputs and a USB output.
What is this? What is this sorcery called again?
Behringer XR18. It has 18 channels. It has a peak limiter, compression, equalizer, literally everything you would have in all those separate boxes that each cost maybe $200, $300, possibly maximum. I don't know. Maddie, what's your audio setup like?
Well, I have a Allen and Heath Z14 connected to a DBX 1616 166XS compressor limiter gate, and then the mic feeds through a DBX 286S preamp processor. So I got one thing that's managing my microphone audio for bass and cutting off sounds and stuff. And then I got another one for adjusting other audio channels like the console and the gaming PC and whatnot. So I can, reduce, add noise gates and do all kinds of stuff like that.
Okay.
And then I got a voice modulator. I forgot what it's called though. It's
So
the
from
one
your
that does
mic
all.
alone, you have 3 different devices or 2 different devices before you get to your mixer.
I have well, the mic goes through the preamp,
Okay.
or alternatively a cloud lifter that goes into the mix amp, and then all that stuff feeds into a compressor limiter, which then goes feeding to the streaming PC.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
It's a
Does
lot
that
of
go into
audio
a sound
equipment.
card too on your streaming PC?
There is a sound card. Yeah, that's the one that is, it's taking it's a sound card, but that is rarely used. It's mostly going over the USB channel.
So all of that is built into my mixer. I have a microphone plugged into mixer, plugged into computer. And then audio channels, which is a way of routing audio, essentially, is handling which audio device is getting what sound and sending that to the mixer, and then sending that back to the computer to output to the stream, to say Zoom, Discord, whatever you use, all for probably a half of the cost or more of all those devices put together.
Oh yeah, the mixer alone's like $400 or $500.
And this mixer is basically the same thing that people would use on stage audiences. Like it's a box that you just put in a rack mount or take onto a stage. You control it through the network.
Huh.
Wow, I'm like,
I
this is
don't-
so interesting to me.
It's like I recommend anybody who's actually going to go get a mixer and all this other thing, get the X-Air.
How much
Honestly.
is it? I can't find the price
Um,
on the page.
So that's the caveat. I think it's about 500 now.
Does it use VST?
For effects, I assume.
Yeah, it's so like so you mentioned network. I know some people use VST plugins. It's something I haven't really
I haven't looked into that one too much because it hasn't been too much piquing my interest. I know it has a lot of pre-built-in effects, like different devices that you would be able to plug into, and you could modulate the sound of those. So like I could actually do a peak limiter in the bass, and then also add a peak limiter effect on that too.
Now, for clarity, you guys would never recommend this for somebody just starting out and wanting to serve on their budget while
Just
also
starting out,
having
just use
effectiveness.
The built-in microphone or a microphone that's like $10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I had a microphone on my laptop and it sounded like it was
in 2018, that seems like that'd be fine. I've seen a lot of people using like just like as a part, like I got a little mic that plugs right into this, and I'm like, how are you getting such good quality? Like when like years ago when I would see this thing happening, it was horrible. It was like you needed to make these massive upgrades if you wanted to have moderately decent quality. But that does seem a lot more achievable now.
Yeah, I mean, I think even if you're just starting out and you could say just a mic, but I still think that you will need to spend time, creating settings for noise gates and compression as well. I think is very important. But there are
Definitely
free ways to do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. So for me, I use a Razer Siren Pro, and I use completely free audio software for what I do. So I haven't
You
spent
use a
money
virtual
on
mixer?
Yeah.
For
I
all
use
this
Voice
right
Reader
now?
Banana.
Really?
Yep. Yeah, so and that's all completely free stuff. And we also have I linked the guide from Streamer Square. There's also Reaper is another option. We have a guide on that as well. So if you are just starting out, this is obviously the next level, type of stuff that, I don't even use yet. So yeah, definitely utilize your free sources, but you do need to invest at least time into understanding your audio and perfecting it. Just from a raw mic is just never going to sound as good as if you just make a small bit of adjustments to make sure you're not blowing people's ears out when you yell or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That
but
never
I think
happens.